Good morning, Acts Church. Hey, just want to share a little bit with you from a portion of our one-year reading from this morning. So I want to share with you from Luke chapter, from Luke chapter 24. Now, where we're at in this story is, intense. Jesus has died on the cross, right? He's died. He's been buried in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea. And, Joseph was a part of the Sanhedrin, but he didn't agree with everything they'd done to Jesus. And he took the body of Jesus and he buried him in a new tomb that he had. And, 3 days pass and they had to wait for Shabbat, for the Sabbath to pass. And some ladies go to, their intention is to go and prepare Jesus' body for burial. And so to wrap it, put spices and oil and anoint it. And so what we have here is the ladies are at the tomb of Jesus, and an angel appears to them. And it says they were terror-stricken. And he says to them, "Why are you looking for the living among the dead? He's not here, but he's been raised. Remember how he told you that he told you about this while he was in the Galilee. The Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men, be executed on a stake as a criminal, but on the third day be raised again." So it's the third day, right? They remembered his words, and returning from the tomb, they told everything to the 11 disciples. The women who told the disciples were Mary of Magdala, and it goes on to list the different women that were there. But then it says in verse 11, "But the disciples didn't believe them. In fact, they thought that what they said was utter nonsense." And so right now on Sundays, we're going through a series answering the question, what role can women have in the church? And man, I love this story because just again, God does nothing by chance. And what we see in this story is really just a picture of some of these questions that we're dealing with today. The first preachers of the risen Christ were women. The very first ones and then actually Jesus reveals himself to Mary Magdalene first. Like he shows up to her first. And so, man, the first preachers of the gospel were women. It seems like it only makes sense that Jesus would first appear to Peter or James or John or some of the other disciples, but he didn't. He chose first to appear to women. The first preachers of the risen Christ were women. And they go and tell the disciples, the men, and the men think what they're telling them is utter nonsense. I think part of it is, I wonder, would the disciples believed it if other men had told them? But they didn't value what the women had to say. They didn't believe them. And man, I just think that there's so much in this. I just think that God intentionally appeared to women first to show the equality of men and women when it comes to preaching the gospel. And not only, you may say, yeah, of course women can preach the gospel, but they preached it to men. Like they went and preached Jesus has risen to men. And God is pouring out his Spirit, according to Joel and according to the book of Acts, on all flesh, on men and women, to be used for his purposes. And so, I just love this story of just God once again showing the equality of men and women in the church, the equality of men and women to be used by him for his glory. Just a great story of God showing his love, not only his love for women, because obviously he loves men too, but showing that he wants to use them. He wants to use women to preach the gospel. So just, every time I read this, I just love this story, and I hope it blesses you guys today. Look forward to sharing more with you this coming Sunday on the role of women in the church. Bless you guys. Love you. Have a great day.